legend? Thanks so much for stopping by the channel, and really good to have you here in this education content based me teaching video. What's inspired this is just some of the dumb fuck stuff that I consistently see on social media, on the stuff that I see being shared on YouTube. Like it's just blah. But anyway, so the whole idea of this video is to basically help you understand the concept and the reasoning behind why eating at around 1200 calories or less is just going to cause more damage than good when it comes to your scenario and your journey of trying to get lean, tight and toned, shredded, swole, whatever it may be. All right, so I'm going to give you some context around that. So we're going to kick off first with the scenarios that you should be basically eating at an intake of around that, and then examples of what will actually happen to you on a negative point of view if you don't fit those examples, and how it's going to impact you. All right, so sit back, take notes, eat some carbs, take note of these lovely suckers here, because if you desire one of these canvases for yourself, drop a comment below and I can organize getting one shipped out for you. This is my If It Fits Your Disney canvases that look sick, and yeah, I've got them all over my room. They look awesome, original designs by me. So let's kick off first with the context of when and if you should be eating at 1200 calories. So scenarios of this, I say, for example, if you are obese or morbidly obese, well then by all means, awesome, 1200 calories or less, fantastic. It's going to help put you in an absolute deficit. It's going to cause some fat loss, some overall weight loss. It's going to be awesome to get you started. Or say, for example, you are someone who is, of any body type, but you do no activity at all, meaning you sit on your ass all day, every day. If that is you, well then, hey, by all means, once again, 1200 calories or so is going to be a good starting place potentially for you. All right. Notice how I said starting place. In other words, it should never be your intake all the time, but a good context nonetheless. All right. And the other scenario being that, let's say, for example, that you are maybe a female or maybe a guy who's pretty skinny or whatever, but let's say that you've been in a contest prep for ages, all right, and this is you right towards the very end of your prep, all right, well then by all means, 1200 calories might be a good scenario for you. So if either of those scenarios aren't you, well, what we're going to cover now is the damage of eating at 1200 calories if you don't fit into those ballpark figures, all right? So what's going to happen first and foremost is that your lifts in the gym, or your performance as a whole in life in terms of energy and ability to burn lots of energy through exercise activity thermogenesis, cardio and stuff like that, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and even your resting metabolic rate, all this sort of stuff is going to start to suffer big time and gradually start to go, which means that it becomes harder and harder to maintain muscle mass and to ensure that what you are losing is actually fat tissue. All right, so if that happens, well then it's kind of like a big sink of dumb fuck stuff going on, where it's basically going to, over time with you doing that, you will get skinny fat. All right, second scenario being is that if you're on 1200 calories, right, and you don't fit those initial first scenarios, what's also going to happen, right, is that you will feel hungry as fuck all the time, and you will likely be that person who has just YOLO episodes and binge eating episodes all the time. So sinking your face into whole tubs of ice cream and all this stuff that you're cutting out because you're trying to eat #clean or keto, right? This will happen to you because you're going to feel so deprived, you're going to be energy deficient, you're going to crave all this stuff you tell yourself you can't have, and it's just going to be like you become a ticking time bomb each day for when you're going to have these YOLO episodes. Trust me, my hand goes up for this as well, because this used to be me years ago before I discovered flexible dieting and went at it properly. So with that being hungry all the time, what's going to happen is that will result in you basically experiencing cycles of dropping some weight, gaining it all back. One step forward, one step back, one step forward, 2 steps back, rinse and repeat. This is what's going to happen for you. All right. Now, other scenario being is that, with you having all those blowouts and stuff like that, right, what that's going to do is it's going to take its toll on your psychological point of view and your mindset and your commitment to staying on the path as a whole, right? In other words, when people fit into this category and the other scenarios have been happening, what usually tends to happen in 8 or 9 cases out of 10 is this is when people give up. They quit, they bail on the journey because they feel that they're doomed to forever stay overweight and never be able to achieve their goals. And they start to self-diagnose themselves from doing some Google research that they've got shitty thyroid, that they've got bad genetics, that they've got hypothyroidism, that they've got underactive this, overactive that, just all this sort of shit, and they end up quitting and bailing on the journey. Now understand that, like, from my professional point of view, and this is what I do for my clients as well, is like, and this is something I live and breathe myself as well, keep in mind, is that your goal should be to be able to keep your intake as high as possible so that fat loss can take place rather than weight loss. So when your goal is just weight loss and you don't even give a shit about how you look, well then by all means, stick to 1200 calories, try and do it, and you will drop weight. But as soon as you try to basically go back to your intake prior, you will gain all the weight that you lost back. Simple, right? That's what happens. So a far better approach to things, that what I would suggest if you've been stuck in the realms of 1200 calories and whatever, right, is to basically get rid of all that thinking, right? Instead, potentially get a MedGem assessment, which is where it's going to allow you to be able to find out what your resting metabolic rate is, and also what your TDEE is, which is your total daily energy expenditure. So find all that out, so that way you understand and you know what your maintenance intake is, and then you can maybe go 10 to 20% below it. So that way you create a great starting point and have a lot more calories up your sleeve to be able to enjoy more foods. And then provided you're getting enough protein and enough fiber on a day-to-day basis, you'll have no dramas being able to actually be consistent, enjoy food choices, and therefore be adherent over time. So that way you are preserving all your muscle mass, you're losing body fat, you will be able to perform well still in the gym, and then therefore you will get lean, tight and toned, shredded, whatever, over time. Because it's a means of understand that the people that win this game are the people who can build discipline, are the people who can be consistent even when they don't feel like it, and who know how to manipulate calories based on goal effectively. So understand that you'll never win the game if you sink yourself into the hole that is hashtag 1200 calorie diets, because they're apparently the miracle wonder intake or whatever, right? As you can see just from watching this video, all it's going to cause is damage, all right? You should always be trying to keep your calories as high as possible to maintain muscle and to be consistent in the gym, and then only reduce them when necessary based on how your progress continues. Now, please, from watching this video, if you feel that it just maybe makes you a bit more confused as to how much you should be eating, check one of the links below, because you're going to find some opportunities to be able to get access to more of my content, or to have a chat with me personally, which I'd love to, right? Or if you actually do have any specific questions in regard to how this relates to you, and I guess like how you're going with your own journey, all right, comment below as well. Let's get the conversation going. I'd love to help you out and connect with more of my followers. So speaking of followers, please, if you're on social media, whether it be Instagram or whether it be Facebook or whatever, check out my socials below. Would love to share more on your own journey. Please, if you're new to the channel as well and you want to see more of my content, make sure you press subscribe, so that way you get notified when and if I go live with the video. And please, if you're a returning subscriber, make sure to press the like button so that YouTube shows this to more people, because I'm sick of seeing people making the journey so hard for themselves and just walking the restrictive lifestyle. It's not the way to go. Big love, thanks for watching. See you next time in the YouTube world. Peace.